Hey everybody, let's wait a minute for folks to kind of filter in and for my coffee to kick in a little bit more. Good morning, TikTok and YouTube and everybody else. Exactly. You get to catch a live because I'm early. Good morning, folks. So yes, we are here to talk about Biden's speech. Let's maybe wait a minute just for a few more folks to filter in, and then we will start shortly. And yeah, I can probably only go about half an hour today. We'll see, because I've got, like I said, a friend in from out of town. Well, friend from DC who came to Chicago, and we're going to. Yes, I like my huge mugs. It's great for a cappuccino, since I like a lot of milk with my coffee. Ooh, morning, folks. We'll start in a second. I'm just waiting for a few more folks to come in, and then we're going to talk about Biden's speech. Cappuccino. Nothing is wrong. We are talking about Biden's speech this morning. Good morning. Happy Friday, all. Woo. How's everybody doing? We will start in a second. TikTok's rolling in now. Good TikTokers rolling in from sleep. I'm about to start talking about Biden's speech last night. So just was waiting for a few more of you guys to kick in, but I will start shortly. It's definitely earlier in the morning. It's funny doing it in the morning. We get fewer people rolling in on TikTok as well. Usually there's a lot more rolling in when I do it in the evening. It's funny, but that's okay. I thought it'd be nice to do first thing in the morning, and then I'm running out for the day. So, yes, a Texas teacup, a big teacup. All right, guys, I think I'll start because folks are going to keep rolling in, but that's fine. So this morning, I want to talk for maybe half an hour with you guys about President Biden's speech last night about Donald Trump and democracy. I'm not going to reiterate the entire speech because that's something you guys can easily find online. But basically, Biden gave a speech and talked about the importance of democracy, the threats to democracy. He made clear that not only the biggest threat to democracy right now was Donald Trump, but that Trump was posing a huge threat. So it wasn't just a relatively big threat. It was a huge threat and a huge problem to America right now. Biden mentioned MAGA Republicans. I think the number was maybe 13 times or something like that. Biden tried to make clear, although I disagree with him on this fact, tried to make clear last night in his speech that he wasn't speaking about all Republicans. He was speaking about, the small number of Americans who support Trump's movement. The problem is, and a number of the media folks chimed in on this last night, is that polls show that, I forget what the numbers is, 70% or something like that, but the Republican Party supports Donald Trump. Same percentage believes Trump's lie that the election was stolen. So, and Trump's lie about the election stolen goes to the very core of Biden's concern, and frankly, a lot of people's concern about democracy in this country. So that if you've got Trump lying about the election, which is an attempt and was an attempt to violently overthrow government, and he's planning to do the same thing by putting people in power who will lie about election results in this next election, but especially in the presidential, then it's important to call them out, and it's important to actually, the point I was getting at with this was Biden's point last night that it's only a small number of Republicans, right? I'm not talking about all Republicans, small number of Republicans that support Trump and his MAGA movement, but that's not true. It's most Republicans that support Trump and his MAGA movement. One of the things I was going to say, not to get too philosophical, but what the hell, we can get philosophical. My coffee's starting to kick in, is I've often sort of wondered, and on gay rights, on racial issues, or in this case, democracy and fascism, people like to throw around the term, you are a fascist, okay, or you are a racist or a homophobe or whatever. And I've often felt there's a difference between the concept, homophobia, fascism, racism, and people who in some ways acquiesce to it. Meaning, if you're willing to vote for a homophobic candidate, it doesn't mean you're a homophobe necessarily, but it does mean that you don't really care about the issue, right? Or you vote for a racist candidate. It means you don't really care about the racist side of the issue. It's just not a deal breaker for you. And the same thing on the democracy front with MAGA. It's funny. I hesitate to call all Trump voters fascists, but clearly someone who is supporting Trump today has no problem with fascism. I think a portion of the Republican electorate doesn't care about fascism, right? I mean, excuse me, does not care that Trump is a fascist, embracing fascist policies, and a portion of that vote also voting for Trump and supporting Trump are people who either openly embrace the fascist ideology, or at least they want a strong man. They want somebody to tell them how to think, and they want somebody to tell them who to hate. It's revanchist policies. It's revenge politics, right? So, you kind of get into an interesting question of whether somebody who is willing to support a fascist and somebody who goes yay when they hear fascist policies is a fascist, right? So I don't know. I think that's a tough one. As far as I don't like the terms calling somebody a fascist, because I think they're, unfortunately, I always like to use the Harry Potter quote, which, I mean, it makes me laugh, but it actually is a very good quote, political science-wise. One second, sip of my coffee. And Harry Potter at one point is talking with Dumbledore, the head of the school, about the fact, I forget exactly what this was. It might be that he's a Horcrux or whatever it is, but basically that some of the bad guy is in him, is in his soul. It's sort of a complicated process, but the bad evil villain, a part of him is wedged in Harry Potter. And Potter is talking about how, I think this is what this was about, is talking about basically, there's evil in me kind of thing. That makes me a bad person, whatever. And Dumbledore says to him something to the effect of, we all have evil in us. The question is what we do with that knowledge, how we act after acknowledging that. And I think one of the big lessons of the Trump era for me is that a lot of people, way more than we expected, especially in America, and I will say this, any of you coming in from abroad, a lot of us Americans actually do believe that our country is unique in many ways. I think we do think that, Europe went through the World War II and all of that, and we helped, but there is this sense among a lot of Americans that, Europe is still kind of trying to make it democracy-wise, but we really hit it out of the ballpark, right? I mean, look at Spain and Greece had coups and military dictatorships 50 years ago, whatever, 60. And this was a wake-up call for Americans as well. And it kind of got me thinking about what it means in terms of the embrace of fascism, the embrace of extremism and all of that. And I think Sylvia Plath, wonderful poet, dead, said, there was a line in one of her poems, every woman loves a fascist. And I wonder if most human beings have a little bit of a yearning towards fascism in us. And it's our angry side. It's our violent side. It's our, oh, I wish I could just kill you. I wish, I'm angry at the neighbor. I'm angry at my boss. God, if I could just kill her, but I know I can't. It's not right? That kind of yearning. And unfortunately, Trump tapped into that. Trump did not create fascism in America, but Trump tapped into it. He made it okay, right? He made it okay to embrace. He made it okay to talk about these things publicly. And by making it okay, he gave people an outlet for the bad Harry Potter side, right? For the bad side in them to say, you know what? Maybe I don't have to suppress that bad side in me, the side that hates, the side that wants revenge, right? Maybe I don't have to repress that. Maybe I can embrace it because it's a good thing. So I wonder whether, to get very philosophical this morning, but whether all of us have a fascist side. And unfortunately, Trump and now the MAGA Republicans and the MAGA Republican Party have somehow sort of opened Pandora's box on all of that. In any case, the Republicans are freaking out, of course, which is expected because that is the appropriate response. I mean, that is the response, right? I mean, if he's going after your party and claiming that, you're a fascist party, obviously you're going to defend yourself. Typically what the Republicans do with Biden, and it's worked in the past, but it's not working this time with Biden. In the past, when Biden would get really strong about going after the Republicans and Trump and everything else, they would accuse him of being divisive, and it would make Biden back off immediately. Something drove me crazy with Biden. He would just back off. He was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be mean, and this kind of crazy thing, right? Oh, my God. And this time it's not working. But the Republicans are doing it again. I mean, last night, I got all the tweets I could show you. Everybody, oh my God, he's a divider. He's not a uniter. He's calling out fascism. And the interesting thing is those quotes especially were coming from Trump supporters. Jim Jordan, Republican, far-right Republican congressman who has his own child sex scandal or teen sex scandal. And a number of them, Ben Shapiro, crazy right-wing Trumpy commentator, accusing Biden of being a divider, not a uniter. And again, it's funny because, first of all, these are, I mean, Jim Jordan and Ben Shapiro are two of the most divisive elements in the Republican Party. I mean, to the extreme. So for them to accuse Biden of being a divider is just funny, you know. But it is their talking point. It's worked in the past, and I'm not convinced it's working now. Biden last week gave his first speech about MAGA Republicans and semi-fascism, saying it's a semi-fascist movement. And they all went nuts on him, and he didn't back down. In fact, Biden responded by doing the speech he did last night. He was like, no, you know what? I'm going to do a whole speech about this. So I will give Biden credit for that. Their messaging doesn't seem to be working. Now, let's see if it works with the media. Last time around, the media totally bought into it. The media, every time Biden would call out Republicans for being obstructionist and obstructing his agenda, the media left and right would jump in and go, oh, you're complaining. Isn't that divisive? You said you were going to get the Republicans. They would actually, one of the amazing things, they would blame Biden for the lack of unity. Oh, you know, you said you could unite Republicans and now they're not supporting your bill. Does that mean you're a failure? And it's like, well, Republicans are refusing to support anything Biden does. Does that make Biden a failure, or does that, you're right? In any case, so they're all claiming, the Republicans were claiming last night that Biden's a divider, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, these are people who support Trump, biggest divider in American history. A lot of them went further. Fox News, or one of the right-wing news sources called Biden satanic because I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if I've got. I don't think I have the picture. Biden's backdrop was, Philadelphia was a Constitution Hall with red and blue, sort of the American colors, right? We're red, white, and blue, and the red was the main building, and then the wings were blue. But when they zoomed in on Biden, it was just red behind him. And I kid you not, they all went nuts on the fact that it was red behind Biden and said, oh my God, it's red. It's satanic. It's satanic. Actually, this is a perfect example here. This Mike guy on TikTok, this guy is spreading hate and calls out everyone else. See, notice this, calling out fascism, calling out Trump for the nonstop hate that this man has pumped out for 5 years. I mean, his entire life, but for 5 years is hateful. I've done a lot of gay rights work over the last 30 years, civil rights work. And I coined a phrase for it because the religious right would always do this too. Oh my God, you're trying to stop us from hating you, right? You're trying to stop us from discriminating. That's so discriminatory. And the phrase I came up with was, I'm intolerant of your intolerance. Yes. Right. You're arguing that I'm intolerant of your intolerance. And it's like, right. I'm criticizing your hate. Yes, I am. I'm criticizing the fact that you do not believe in democracy. Correct. I'm criticizing the fact that you are un-American. You who posted that comment are un-American. You do not believe in the freedoms of this country. You do not believe in the values of this country. You do not believe in the very rights and privileges that countless American troops, women and men, died in the last 250 years to preserve your right to be an ass on TikTok and to attack people for defending democracy. You do not believe in democracy. And this is why it was important for Biden to give this speech, because Trump, there's something in politics called the Overton window. And the Overton window, I'm going to do probably a bad job explaining this, but, or political theory. The idea is the Overton window is the imagine a sphere, right? Like a bubble. And the bubble is the realm of acceptable discourse or acceptable action. And anything outside that bubble is like, whoa, right? So imagine like a graph on a table. You've got the circle, and it's, peaceful protest. Oh, thank you, Melly. Peaceful protest, speaking out, writing letters to the editor. Those would be inside the thing, right? Shooting your political opponent, that would be outside the bubble. I mean, to give an extreme example, the Overton window is that bubble. It is the window of acceptable discourse, acceptable actions. And Trump expanded the Overton window. He made it so that that bubble got larger. And now all of a sudden, insurrection is okay, right? Violently trying to overthrow the government is okay. Trying to literally throw out the results of a fair election is okay. Trying to steal the next election by putting people in power who vow that they will not certify the actual legal results of the election, that they will outright lie about who won, or they will refuse to certify, so that basically, for example, one of the things that the Trump Republicans are planning on doing is, and this comes back to our discussion of fascism, is if Biden or whoever runs in 2024 wins a state, like Arizona last time, right? Wins Arizona, rather than submit a fake elector list, which got them in trouble. Remember, now they're being investigated for actual felonies for doing that. Next time, they can just refuse to certify, right? So like the Republican governor or the Republican Secretary of State or the Republican legislature can just refuse to certify and say, gosh, this Arizona election was so confusing, right? Imagine this for last time. So confusing. I know you say Biden won by, what was it, 13,000 votes, 20,000, whatever it was in Arizona. But so many people are complaining that we're really worried. And we're so worried that we're not going to certify the election results in Arizona for Biden in 2020 until we get to the bottom of this. And, it might take a couple of years to get to the bottom of this. So what happens? Because our system is so screwy in America, how we deal with this. Excuse me. January 6th goes to the Congress. Congress goes through all the election results, and Congress determines who won by counting up the electoral votes. Well, if Arizona refused to submit Biden's electoral votes, they wouldn't have been counted. So Biden's trying to reach the 270 electoral votes necessary. If Arizona's aren't there, all of a sudden that goes down, right? So all of a sudden it goes down and down and down, and suddenly Joe Biden is no longer elected president. So that's one of the cute ways they've got of doing this. That is fascism, right? So no, it's I'm trying to think of other notes I had here. It is deadly serious. Oh, I know I was going to say too. So Trump yesterday, perfect example. And actually, it's funny because Biden didn't mention this in his speech, and he totally could have mentioned this in his speech. Trump yesterday, a little more coffee. Trump yesterday comes out and says that he's lying, of course, because Trump just lies. He's financing several of the insurrectionists, the people who tried to violently overthrow the government on January 6th. He's financing several of them, meaning he's financing their defense funds. I think that's a total lie. Trump's a liar. And he's a cheapskate. There's no way he's financing them. He doesn't pay his bills. He's not financing some redneck who tried to overthrow the government. And Trump said twice that he is seriously considering, which I love this too. He won't promise to do it, which is classic Trump, which means he's probably not going to do it. But he's very, very, he said very, very twice, very, very seriously considering pardoning the domestic terrorists who tried to overthrow the government. And a couple things going on here. He's, again, trying to build up that MAGA fascist vote. He is also sending the message that if he runs again in 2024 and loses again, that if you turn violent and put me in power anyway, I'll pardon you. I'll pardon the violence. And the president can. The president can pardon anything. The president could pardon Osama bin Laden if he wanted to, if the man lived. That's the problem with the pardon power. It's 100%. So, I know. The final thing I was going to say, which I disagree with some Democrats on this. One sec. Biden's speech last night was 100% necessary, 100% legit, 100% valid, 100% important, and 50% politics. Democrats kept saying it wasn't about politics. Come on, part of it was about politics. Clearly, Biden and his people realize that Donald Trump being back on the national stage, the search warrant executed on Mar-a-Lago raised Trump's specter again in the news. Trump went crazy. Trump is now saying 10 crazy things a day like he used to when he was president. He's doing it on his own social media platform, but people are sharing it. Trump saying all this crazy stuff every day, like yesterday, that he's thinking of pardoning I know what I was going to say too. He's thinking of pardoning the violent insurrectionists. Mind you, the insurrection happened on January 6th. Trump was president until January 20th. Trump had 2 weeks to pardon the insurrectionists. He didn't. He's a liar. I mean, only Trump can get away with saying, "Oh, if you elect me again, I will seriously, very, very, very much consider pardoning you." And nobody says, "Dude, you were president last time and you didn't pardon them. Why should we believe you this time?" And if you were going to pardon them, you'd say, "I will pardon you." You wouldn't say, "I'll consider." Can you imagine? I'll consider it. Like, what is that? I'll consider it. I love that. I'll consider it. Oh, well, thank you. I'll definitely help you out if you'll consider pay. If you hire my firm, or no, what would it be? I'll hire your firm, and if I do, I'll consider paying you. Ooh, nice. But I was saying about the politics. Biden's speech was 100% legit, 100% necessary, and 50% politics. Biden should have been putting out this message for the last 2 years. Now, in fairness, a lot of folks pointed out that Biden had also mentioned this message. I'm laughing because Larry Hacker says Biden's brain dead. Larry, you haven't gotten the update. Biden apparently is an all-knowing, all-controlling dictator, a fascist dictator. He's not brain dead anymore. He literally is in control of everything and going to destroy the world with his evil machinations. I mean, that's part of what's so funny about this. That Republicans have switched from Biden literally wears a diaper and doesn't know what he's doing every day, he doesn't know where he is, to he's a dictator. Which, again, fascism. I mean, I don't know what I was going to say. So on the political front, I disagree with Democrats on this. Look, Biden clearly, this speech was necessary that Biden gave last night, okay? Our democracy is in peril. I think Biden should have been giving this speech every day for the last year and a half. He has not been. He's been trying to do the old hug a tree, hug a Republican, we're all going to get along, this kind of crap. And I think he should have been much more strong about it. He's doing it now. Now, I do think to some degree Biden's doing it now. There's 2 things going on, actually. One is legit, one is political. The political one is clearly Democrats have seen in the polls that Trump's resurgence on the national scene because of the search warrant on Trump's home, and the fact that Trump responded to that search warrant by putting out crazy. Right? Every day now, Trump is putting out tons of crazy comments, just like he did when he was president, so that it's getting Trump news. It's all Trump all the time again, right? The fact that that's happening again is freaking out voters. It's freaking out voters in the middle. It's freaking out Democrats. It's freaking out independents. It's freaking out moderate Republicans. Even moderate, I say moderate. Moderate isn't really the quite term. Normal Republicans, because you've got conservative Republicans, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, as conservative as you get, more conservative than Donald Trump, who oppose Trumpism. So it's not really moderate Republicans, but Trump's resurgence on the scene has freaked out a lot of people, a lot of the coalition that defeated Trump in 2020. And I think Biden sees that, and Biden is seizing the moment in order to really nail it down, because we do have congressional elections coming up in 2 months. So I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say that this speech was somewhat political. It's about the election. But it's not just about the election. My nephew pointed out last night, and it was actually a very good point, that part of what is going on with Biden last night, and I hadn't thought about it, but I think he's right. Biden is also preparing the country for Trump being indicted. Right? Trump supporters, Lindsey Graham, especially this, who knows what, I don't even know what, Lindsey Graham has no politics. He's just, he just kind of leeches on to whoever's powerful at the moment. But Graham is now, he was pretending to be a McCain supporter. Now he's a Trump supporter. He had criticized Donald Trump, said he would destroy the world. Now he's Trump's biggest defender. Lindsey Graham's just a classic, moo, soft, nothing going on there. So Graham, I was trying to think of what I was thinking with Lindsey Graham. Oh yeah, so Graham goes on the news a week or so ago and says, if Donald Trump is indicted, there's going to be violence in the streets, basically calling for violence. And I'm trying to think the reason I was bringing this up with Lindsey Graham. Oh yeah, because of that, I think part of Biden's motivation for giving this speech is concern that if Trump is indicted, and so far it looks like Trump will be indicted, but who knows? If Trump is indicted, there will be violence, and that this fascist movement will go into overdrive. And it won't just go into overdrive verbally, but it will turn even more violent than it has before, and that Biden felt the need to speak out now to kind of prepare people, well, to try to kind of clamp down on it, but also to prepare people in advance and say, I warned you about this fascist movement. They did it again, right? They tried to violently overthrow the government before. They're doing it again. So in any case, so my point is, as I said before, I think Biden's speech was 100% legitimate and 50% politics, meaning it was 100% a legitimate speech to give. Biden should have been doing it for the last, year and a half. But I think he's doing it now. Excuse me. He's doing it now because the election's coming up. And again, maybe 25%, I know it adds up to 175, 25% is because he's worried about the violence that's going to happen if and when Trump is indicted. Right. So, hey, it's Priscilla. There isn't a red wave coming anymore. The latest polls are showing that Democrats are going to, now mind you, things change, but the Democrats are going to hold the U.S. Senate. Previously, it was going to be Republicans. And while Republicans are ahead in the U.S. House, that could change. Biden's approval rating apparently has jumped an average of his approval rating, which is the best way to look at it. You sort of average all the polls together rather than one poll, which can change. That Biden's approval rating is up 5 percentage points in just the last month. My suspicion is that a lot of that is Democrats, because I think a lot of people that supported Biden were just very disappointed at how he was doing. But still, an approval rating going up helps for a midterm election because it means Democrats who voted for him are now feeling less despondent. They might have been despondent and maybe they wouldn't vote. Now they're going, yeah, right? So it is not anymore worldwide, Johnny. Biden's approval rating is the worst. Not anymore. Trump's is the worst. Biden just went up 5 points. He's actually in the low 40s now, which is still low, but it's higher than where Clinton, Trump, God, it was like 4 or 5 presidents that Biden's ahead of. One of the things you've got to remember when dealing with people who aren't MAGA like me is we deal in a fact-based world. We deal with numbers, we deal with data, we deal with history, we deal with facts. So while you could get away on, the R. Donald forum or whatever with lies like you're telling right here on TikTok, you guys, some of the MAGA commenters, that stuff works with people who are undereducated, with people who lean towards fascism, with people who want to be told what to believe, who don't think for themselves. And I would say people who are basically gullible. They're willing to sort of believe anything that's spoon-fed to them. That doesn't really work in other forums. It doesn't work in our forum because you guys are well-educated. And by well-educated, I don't necessarily mean degrees, but I mean you're people who read. You follow the news. You actually read the news. You don't, when I say news, you don't go to just a liberal source to find the news, right? In the same way that a MAGA person would go to the farthest right source they could find, and they get lied to by Tucker Carlson, and they think it's truth. On forums like ours, you just can't get away with that because people know the truth and people know the facts, and we look at data. So, that's what you got to do. Anyway, guys, we could talk for a couple more minutes. I want to go soon. As I said, the reason I was doing this today is because I've got a friend in from out of town. We're going to bop around, visiting mom in Chicago. We're going to bop around Chicago. Thank you for the hat there, Zell. We're going to bop around Chicago for the day, which means I won't be able to do the update tonight on Ukraine. But I thought since Biden gave the speech last night, it would be nice to do an update this morning about fascism and the MAGA movement. Anyway, and people I see their fascism is sending the FBI to raid your political opponent's house. Johnny, see, the problem again is you don't actually follow facts and the news. If you watch, Fox News, you'd believe that because, again, low information voters kind of willing to believe stuff that's handed to you. The thing is, the FBI in a typical administration isn't controlled by the president. See, this is interesting, actually. Actually, with Johnny's comment, don't delete Johnny's comment yet. I mean, he's a troll, but don't delete the comment yet. Again, fascism equals sending the FBI to raid your political opponent's home. That's a tell. A tell is when somebody confesses something about themselves unintentionally. It's often in poker, like somebody who's got who's bluffing and their eye twitches or whatever it is, right? Saying that's a tell from Johnny. Fascism is sending the FBI to raid your political opponent's home. MAGA Republicans think that it's normal for presidents to control the FBI, for presidents to tell the FBI who to investigate, who to have a search warrant, who to execute a search warrant on. They think that's normal. They think corruption's normal. And because it's normal in their own movement, they think it's normal for everybody else. So Johnny thinks, of course, President Biden has control over the FBI. He doesn't. Of course, President Biden can order the FBI to execute a search warrant. He can't. I mean, he just can't. The search warrant had to go to an independent judge who reviewed the evidence, and the judge approved the search warrant. It wasn't there's President Biden. Even if Biden wanted to be corrupt and tell the FBI what to do, it wouldn't work. The FBI is independent. The Department of Justice is FBI is really independent. The head of the FBI is appointed for 10 years and stays in power for those 10 years unless the president fires them, because we wanted it to be apolitical. By the way, the head of the FBI is a Donald Trump appointee. So what Johnny is actually saying is Donald Trump sent the FBI to raid Donald Trump's home, is what Johnny's saying, because it was Donald Trump's appointee that approved it. But again, the fascist movement is so used to the corruption, and they're so used to the fact that their own government would lie, cheat, and steal, right? That their own government would corruptly tell the FBI. Remember, Trump demanded that the FBI investigate Hillary, right? Publicly and privately. He tried to get them to investigate her. They refused. I mean, they investigated and found she was innocent, but they weren't going to do it just because Trump ordered them. But Johnny thinks that's normal. So, and this is an interesting thing to consider. I mean, I really mean this. Keep in mind this, that the MAGA Republicans assume corruption is normal because they are corrupt and they accept their corruption, that they assume that everyone else is doing the same thing, right? So that's the thing. Wasn't a raid, it was a search warrant in America. I don't know, you might be Russian or something, but in America, search warrants are not raids. They're search warrants. They have to be approved by judges in this case. And he's not Biden's political opponent because Trump isn't a candidate for office. So wrong-o, Morton. The other thing is, Donald Trump, thank you, Uncle Crazy. Donald Trump stole highly classified information. Donald Trump is at this point, I was going to say Russian hooker, but I won't say that, is one hairbreadth away from being the Rosenbergs. So let's just keep in mind what you're defending there, okay? No, I think it's important. I mean, thanks, Sky Queen. I think it's important to call out the trolls, because the trolls like to. This shirt, by the way, I made myself because unfortunately I'm gonna have to go in a second anyway. But this is it's of the Ukrainian Vyshyvanka, but it doesn't go long enough because I had taken a picture. We've got a bunch of Vyshyvankas. These are the traditional Ukrainian shirts. I'm going to be wrapping up now, guys. So that's why we'll talk about the personal stuff. Are the cool Ukrainian shirts, and I really liked it. I wanted to make a t-shirt of it, but the t-shirt companies print like from here down. So for the Vyshyvanka, it doesn't work. So I literally took a picture. We've got a bunch of these that were shipped to us from Ukraine. I've been giving them out as thanks. Actually, I need to go through our Howitzer fundraiser and thank somebody for that too, to send you guys a gift as well. But we've been giving them out as gifts to donors, randomly picking one person in one of our. We've raised like $62,000 for Ukrainian money that's gone all to Ukraine. 100% actually went to Ukraine. 62,000 among all of you. You all chipped in. Any case, bottom line is I've got a bunch of these shirts. So the real ones, I took a really good picture with my good camera of it, and then bought one of those sticker iron-on things from the whatever the printing stores are, Staples or whatever, and did it. And I mean, the thing that freaks me out is the tassels. I love the tassels because the tassels look totally real, but it's only going to last so long. I wish I could find a print shop that puts it to the neck, because wouldn't it be so cool? Wouldn't it be totally cool? Anyway, what do you do? But yes, anyway, guys. So, actually, just to remind folks, you can go to our store, my store. The store is my last name, so erevosis.com, and you'll see the designs we have up right now for the Ukrainian shirts. They're very cool. Appreciate if you could check it out. I know the tassels are funny. The tassels totally look real. Like, well, again, high quality photo. And those print things are cool. I just don't know how long it's going to last. I'm being very careful with it. But we're going downtown today to Chicago. So since there's a lot of Ukrainians in Chicago, I thought I'd wear my Ukrainian shirt. Any case, you can also go to the Discord. Yeah, Roisin is reminding us you can go to the Discord as well. I've got discord.erevosis.com. A lot of folks, we hang out there and chat. Today, I'm not hanging out there and chatting until tonight because I'm going to Chicago for the day. But do feel free to hang out there. Oh, and the final thing, just to remind folks, because I'm very excited, and then I'm going to sign off, is we were raising money to basically sponsor a howitzer, an artillery gun in Ukraine. I was taught it's M777. I was saying M777, M777 howitzer. We raised enough money, thanks to you guys did it. You chipped in. We raised enough money. I know those tassels. Woo! We raised enough money to sponsor a Ukrainian howitzer. We are going to get our message on the side of a Ukrainian howitzer. Let me actually, as always, I like to sort of show people. Let me show you really quick, because not everybody is up on military stuff. This is, okay. Oops, here we go. This is a howitzer. Now look at those guys in front of it, the two guys, about how small they are. That'll give you a sense of how big this gun is. Oops, I'll go here. So that's a howitzer. Okay. There are those big guns that when they shoot, the barrel, the turret can go like boom, really big. Well, we have sponsored one. We raised $4,000. The guys the Sign My Rocket were generous enough to let us have it for $4,000 instead of $5,000. And we are going to get our message along that turret. We're honing in on it. They're going to write it on there in paint, and hopefully it'll stay for the war. We're honing in. What we're honing in on, exactly, Roshin. What we're honing in on, Roshin, I call you Roshin. See, I don't have my cheat sheet in front of me, Roshin. I'm remembering in my head, Roshin. What we are honing in on is a message. I don't know about both sides. That's an interesting question. What I'm honing in on as a message is Bucha's revenge. I like, and I'll tell you a counter message. I like it because I like oops, okay, sorry, I'm helping my dog dig under her blanket. She's got the collar of shame on again. I like it because it does a couple things. And we'd have Bucha's revenge in English and Ukrainian. I like it because being on the side of the gun, and we'll get a video of the gun firing and everything. Being on the side of the gun, it names the gun. You know how military, they can name their planes, name their guns. I like the idea of the gun being called Bucha's Revenge. Bucha, by the way, is that somebody asked me last night. Bucha was that first big town that the Ukrainian troops rolled into when they forced the Russians out of away from Kyiv, the capital. Remember in that first month of the war, the Russians got pushed back really embarrassingly. Bucha was that first town that everybody went into where everybody was dead. Remember, there were 20 civilians dead on the sidewalk of that one street with the abandoned cars. And the one for me was the one guy riding his bike, the old man, who was dead sideways on the ground. They literally shot him as he was riding his bike, and he just fell over. I mean, horrific. Well, what I like about it is the idea of Bucha's revenge. It is the name of the gun. The gun is Bucha's revenge. And it's also the message. In other words, these artillery shells are being fired as revenge for Bucha, right? Now, somebody had suggested, though, I think actually that's got almost the most votes. The most votes was To Russia with Love, which I just didn't think, it's okay, but this was the second most votes. Oh, I'm just remembering, I've got to give my dog her medicine this morning. I almost forgot. I'm going to put it right here so I don't forget. The only alternative somebody had presented was, what about Bucha's Love? They liked it. Was somebody who prefers a more positive message. He said Bucha's Love. And I will say, I think I sort of said to him, I'm more of a revenge than a love guy. I just thought Bucha's Love was a bit, I'm just curious real quick, and then I'm going to sign off, guys, but just curious, like what you guys think of that. It just felt a bit lovey-dovey. Also for the side of a gun that's going to kill people. It just felt a bit lovey-dovey, Bucha's Love. Because it's almost kind of creepy calling it Bucha's Love. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's the thing is I almost feel like love. Thank you. Blue Piggy saying love is inappropriate. It almost feels inappropriate. Again, I don't want to skew your guys' response. Tell me what you really think. But it almost feels inappropriate to me. Because it's like Bucha's love. Love is sending an artillery shell to kill you. It's just something about it's a little, I don't know. Yeah, no, I think, and I also exactly. Giving the soldiers inspiration. Big Hulk is saying, I also like the aspect of it being, and again, we'll have it in Ukrainian as well, of it being something that is sort of a nod to the Ukrainian soldiers themselves so that they know the Americans know about Bucha and we care about it. And we, you know what I mean? It's acknowledging sort of the outrage and the pain for them. Anyway, we'll see. I'm going to wait. I mean, as I said, my friend's in town all day, and then the weekend we're running around. We're going to Wisconsin. I haven't been to Wisconsin since I was a kid, to Milwaukee. And you always know a Midwesterner because ask them to say the word Wisconsin, and we say Wisconsin. So, Wisconsin. It's very hard not to. I know for the children wouldn't be a bad one too. But anyway, so that's the deal. Yes, I think we are going to skip the love and stick with hate. No, we'll stick with revenge, I think. But in any case, like I said, I'm probably going to wait the weekend and then I'll send it on Monday and then we'll see how quickly they get it. But they do they paint the side of the gun and then they do a video of the gun firing for us, which will be very cool. Anyway, so very cool. So thank you all for helping to raise all that money. And again, and the money, at least a large amount of the money, who knows? My guess is the soldiers are getting some money here. I mean, they have to be, and that's okay with me. But a large portion of the money goes to a Ukrainian nonprofit that, hello, Sasha, that goes to a Ukrainian nonprofit that helps Ukrainian troops. Medicine, food, sleeping bags, night vision goggles, even Starlink internet they got. So that's nice too. Thank you, Moonbeams. So that's nice too. I think that it's, we sort of raised money for the troops, but it's also, I say we've raised money for the troops and I'm putting it as we are sponsoring a howitzer, which I love that we can, I mean, my nephew was saying this too. We're literally crowdfunding a war. And I just think, I'm sorry, it's a little creepy, but it's totally cool at the same time. Sort of what the world has developed into. All right, guys, I'm going to go, or my friend Matt's going to get really pissed at me. I will see you guys again on Monday because, as I said, I was doing this morning because tonight's going to be probably not possible for the Ukraine update. So thank you, mods. I know today probably had to be living hell. I don't know about on YouTube. I didn't notice it today, but TikTok, I was noticing it was out of control. I was almost avoiding the comments because TikTok was out of control. But I'm going to go. Real quick thing. Is Trump able to pardon himself? Most legal experts say no. It's still not really decided in law, but most legal experts think no. So, all right, guys, have a good weekend. And feel free, like I said, check out the Discord, discord.aravosis.com. Feel free to check out the shop. Aravosis.com is the shop. And I'll see you guys Monday. And also, the weekend I won't be checking in because I'll be, who knows? I may check in the Discord if I'm around. All right, guys, sorry. Let's go. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining. Boom.